page 19, Daf Yutes Amud Aleph, a new chapter, a new parak, Hayanaita. So the new chapter begins like this. It says that what happened when she went to the Beis Hamikdash, so she would take her mincha, she would take her meal offering, which was made of barley, as we said before, in a wicker basket that came from Egypt, a cheap basket, as we discussed earlier. And the bringing it, she brings it. And she even, generally, when you bring a meal offering, you're even supposed to mix in the oil yourself. At what point do the Kohanim get involved after you put it into the holy bowl that belongs to the Beis Hamikdash? That's when the Kohanim get involved. So it's put into a holy bowl. And then the Kohen puts the bowl on her hands. And after he puts it on her hands, he puts his hands beneath her, and he raises it up, which is something that has to be done by meal offerings. So then he raises it up, he brings it forward towards the Mizbeach, he takes his fistful with the three fingers, the fistful of the meal offering, the barley offering, and then he brings it on the altar, and after he does that, the Kohanim eat the rest. Now the Mishnah says like this: the way the order worked was first they would give her to drink the potion, and then they would bring her sacrifice, the meal offering. Rabbi Shimon says that first you bring the meal offering and then she would drink, because it says in the verse, and we're going to see from the Talmud 3 times it says the word yishka, yashka, drinking. So it says that after she drinks, after she brings the sacrifice, she drinks. But let's say Rabbi Shimon says if she drank before the sacrifice was brought a meal offering, it is still kosher, even though he's supposed to do it the opposite way, but it's still kosher. Now the Gemara brings down, the Rav Lezer says to Rav Yoshi of his generation, he says, I don't rest until you explain to me this idea of how do we know that a mincha sotah, that a meal offering of a sotah of this woman needs to be lifted up. How do we know? Because it says it says there clearly itself. It says in the Torah when it talks about sotah that has to be lifted up. The question is, we know that the kohen has to lift it up. How do we know give the chance for the woman who is bringing the sacrifice to be lifted up? So we learned from the laws of Shlomim, of a peace offering, that there it says yad and here it says yad, and therefore just like here a kohen has to bring it, there a kohen has to bring it. And just like there, the owner has to be involved in lifting it up, so too here the owner has to be involved in lifting it up. That's how we know. So the kohen puts their hand under the hand of the owner, and they lift it up. Now we learn that he is to give her to drink, and then she brought the carbon mincha. So the Gemara says like this. So the Mishnah says you first give her to drink, then she brings the mincha. Rabbi Shimon says you first bring the mincha, then you give her to drink. So now we learned another place elsewhere. It says both similar to the opinion of Rabbi Shimon, that first you bring the carbon mincha and then you give her to drink. So it says like this. It says 3 times in the Torah when it talks about sotah, it says the word giving it to drink. The hishka, yashka, vacha yashka. So he says, what does it mean, the hishka, to give it to drink? To tell us, because it already says he has to give it to drink, to tell us a law, that if the Megillah was erased, and she says that she doesn't want to drink it, so the Megillah, the parchment was erased into the cup, and then she says, I don't want to drink. So you force her to drink. That's what Rabbi Kiva said. Rabbi Shimon says he learns it from a different verse. It says va'acha yashka, and after they'll give it to drink. In the second time, the Torah says the word drink. Why does it say that? It already tells in the Torah you have to give it to drink. So it tells us that that the drinking has to happen after 3 things. One is you have to have brought the carbon. One is that the Megillah has to have been erased into the drink, and the one is that she has to take the oath. So Gemara goes into explaining. It says like this: till she brings the carbon, that's Rabbi Shimon's opinion. You have to bring the carbon, the meal offering, and then she drinks. But what do you mean to tell us that you have to give her to drink after you erase the Megillah, the parchment. Obviously, that's what you give her to drink: water, or the dirt, and the parchment, the ink on the parchment. So he's telling us that not only you have to erase, you have to make sure that every part of the ink that's on the parchment is erased. Nothing can be left over. Then it says, until she accepts upon herself an oath. So the question is, what do you mean? You only can drink until she accepts upon herself an oath. You only can drink until she accepts upon herself an oath. You can't even write the Megillah until she accepts upon herself an oath. Right? So we answer, that's true. We're not teaching us anything new. It's just sort of, once it's telling us some laws, it says, saying, by the way, all this has to happen after she gets an oath. So now the question is, in the Mishnah, there's an argument. If you bring the carbon first, like Rabbi Shimon says, and after you give it to drink, or the Tanna Kama says, first you give it to drink, and then you give her, and then she gives her sacrifice. So what is the argument? So the argument is that, again, as I said, there are three verses where it mentions the drink. Vihishka, the first instance, and I'll give it to drink. V'achiyashka, and then after it says to bring the sacrifice, and then I'll give it to drink. And then it says again, Vihishka, and I'll give it to drink. So the rabbis hold the first Vihishka, where it says before bringing the mincha, the meal offering, you have to give her to drink, is to tell us that you give her to drink before she brings the sacrifice. Why does it say again that after it talks about the sacrifice, it says that you give her to drink? So it's from there we learn a law, details. There we learn a law that you have to make sure that the parchment is totally erased. Why does it say again the third time, Vihishka, you give it to drink? To tell us that if the Megillah was erased and she says, I don't want to drink, you force her to drink. Rabbi Shimon reads a little differently. And he says, no. The main part of the laws of Sotah, which is telling us he has to drink, is one is the middle one where it says that after you bring the sacrifice, V'achayishka, he has to give it to drink. That's the main one. And therefore we know you have to bring the sacrifice first and then she drinks. Why does it say Vihishka at the beginning? To tell us that if at the end of the day they did the opposite, they drank and then brought the carbon, the sacrifice, it's also acceptable. And the last one is to tell us that if in case, the last Hishka, that if it was erased, and then she said, no, I don't want to drink, you force it to drink. And the rabbis say it doesn't make sense that the first time the Torah introduces that she has to drink, that is only to tell us the law that in case she didn't follow the protocol and she drank before she brought the sacrifice, it's good. Usually the first time the Torah introduces to tell you the law. Any other time the Torah mentions some extra words is to teach us details of the law. So now the Gemara asks a question. According to this, it comes out that Rabbi Kiva is of the opinion that you force her to drink. Because we said that one of the Vihishkas is teaching us that once it was already erased and it's in the potion already, that she said, I don't want to drink. Oh, it's too late. You force her to drink. So Rabbi Kiva says you force her to drink. Didn't we learn, Rabbi Yehuda says, that they used to put a piece of metal with two teeth, like to open up her mouth to keep it open, that in case the Megillah, the parchment was erased, and then she said, I don't want to drink, we forced the drink down her throat. Rabbi Kiva says, wait 1 second, doesn't make any sense. The whole purpose of giving her to drink is to figure out if she actually had any affair with the man or she just wasn't hiding with the man, nothing happened. If a woman says, I don't want to drink, what is she telling you? She's telling you I had an affair. So Rabbi Kiva says, why do you have to check her anymore? When she says, I don't want to drink, at the end, when she's ready to drink, she's admitting. So we say like this, there's a difference. If you brought already the fistful on the altar, then she cannot back out. Even according to Rabbi Kiva, she cannot back out. She has to drink. You force her to drink. But if they did not yet put the fistful on the altar, even though they did a few steps before that, then if she backs out, she backs out. She doesn't have to drink. You don't force her to drink. So now the Gemara says, but still no, it's a contradiction, Rabbi Kiva, because elsewhere he says you don't force her to drink. You force her to drink, and here Rabbi Kiva says that you don't need to force her to drink because if she says I don't want to drink, she's admitting. So on the contrary, what's the difference if it's before you brought the fistful, you didn't bring the fistful? Once she says I don't want to drink, she's admitting that she did something. So Gemara says no, there's a difference in why she's admitting. And here we go into the psychology of a person. If the person, the woman, is now saying, I don't want to drink, but she's not doing it because she has any fear, but she's fully in her full control of herself. She says, I don't want to drink. So then, Rabbi Q says, you don't force her to drink. A woman who is in full control says, I don't want to drink, that means that she's admitting that she did something. So why make her drink? Whether you brought the fistful, you didn't bring the fistful, you don't make her drink. She's proving that she's guilty. But if she's doing it because of fear, so she says like this. She says, you know what? I'm innocent. But now she's coming right next to the time she has to drink and she gets scared and she says, wait 1 second. Maybe even if I'm innocent, it's going to cause me to die. And it's going to affect me. So she's afraid. That's why she doesn't want to drink. Not because she's admitting, but she's afraid of drinking this potion, which she knows people die from it as well. So how's she going to know that the potion will work with her only if she's guilty? Maybe even if she's innocent, it'll work against her. So there we make a difference. If the fistful was not brought yet, then she doesn't have to drink. But once the fistful was brought on the altar, once it's brought on the altar, we can't go backwards. So then we force her. We tell, listen, this is, we went down this path so far, you're going to have to drink it. And that is the way this piece of Talmud finishes off for today. Have a great day.